he was like, "Hey, I love this. I'm gonna feature it on Hilly Dilly, but also I run like this little label called 20XX, and it's essentially like a 50-50 deal. It's a licensing deal. It's nothing like you're not signing your life away. Like, we'll help you distribute it. We can pay for certain things. Like, it's just like a little bit of money in our pockets just to like get the song out properly.
Mhm.
Nothing insane. And we ended up releasing that song and our second was that wasn't our first song though. Sorry, we released Take Me On as the first song
Mhm.
through him through that.
I love
Took
somebody like
yeah, took I Loved You First down to like hone it in. That was like an early it was essentially like an early demo. And we ended up
Mhm.
recording more on what now is the version. And our next single was Love Somebody Like You. Um and yeah, it was just like it was a soft launch that was just made to we just wanted to like put something out there and just to say we did and have like some sort of origin, and it ended up getting us where we are today. Like we found our management that way. They flew in for our very first show. A few months later we were opening for our friends Knox Hamilton for their like was it an album
yeah, it
release or
was like
something
some sort of release.
in
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah.
Rock.
Band's big. Yeah, I know who
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
Knox.
Knox
Yeah, they're
Hamilton.
great.
Yeah.
And it was like we had to write I think 5 songs or something to fill the 30-minute slot because we only had like 2 or 3 songs, and those songs ended up being on our first EP, and so it was weird. It was like kinda all the stars aligned on a lot of different stuff at that time, so
What's up, Adam? Hey, what's up, Steven? Hey, Alan. How are you guys?
good, how are you?
Great. I appreciate you both doing this. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh,
Thanks for having
yeah,
us.
thanks, dude.
I'm excited to chat with you. I watched the video for Magic that you guys have coming out on Friday. It's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're stoked about that one. It came
Yeah, I
Well,
out.
love
I'm glad we found that tornado.
Yeah.
I love the in the beginning how it's like you're setting up the shot, and then right when the words come in, like after you hit the slate, it's like it's perfect timing for your voice, like singing along to it. It's so good. It looks like
Thanks,
it's
Thanks,
man.
kind of like
dude.
what's going on here, and then it's like oh, it's already part of the video. I
Yeah, thanks, dude. That's awesome. I'm glad you liked it.
think it's really cool. Well, this is about you both and your journey in music, and we'll obviously talk about the new stuff that you have coming out and kind of just your what's going on with the band. But we always start with
Cool.
your origin story and kind of want to find out how you both met and everything. But we'll start with you, Alan. Where were you born and raised in Little Rock?
Yeah, pretty much. Born here, raised here for the most part. My family moved to a city called Redfield, which is south of Little Rock, around 7th grade. So I went to a high school kind of south of Little Rock called Sheridan High School. And then but like everything else was in Little Rock. Like most of my family was there. And so I pretty much did sports and everything, growing up in Little Rock. So and then they moved
In Little
back. And
Rock.
then when I got married, we moved to Little Rock and now we're like in the heart of it and haven't left. So yeah. Wow, we love it here.
Awesome. What about as music goes? Do you come from a musical family at all?
Yeah, my dad plays a lot of things. He's kind of great at all of it. He's really good bass player, can shred on guitar, can play some drums, plays keys. And my mom can sing. She doesn't really do it except in her car or maybe the shower or something. But yeah, I definitely grew up in a musical family with my dad. He did it professionally for a while. And I've said this a lot, but like my first concert was a Rush concert when my mom was pregnant. Like I was going to shows
Oh
before
wow,
I was even born. So yeah, I kind of inundated from day one for sure.
that's awesome. You said your dad did it professionally. Was he in a band? Like would he tour and
Yeah,
stuff?
he was in. Yeah, he's been in a couple of bands around Arkansas. There was a band called Tragically White, which is just a funny name. That are still around. They've had several iterations. And then he was in a band called Sweat, which doesn't exist anymore, but I think that's such a sick
That's a
band name,
great
and I want
name.
to
Oh yeah.
revive that someday in another project. He was in a band called the Freds. Yeah, basically they did original music in some of the bands, and then he also like this would have been like 80s, early 90s when, especially here and regionally, you could be like a cover band and like make a living doing that and play like they would go do clubs would basically hire them to be like artists in residence for like a full week. So you'd like go play the nightclub every single night from like 9 p.m. to like 4 a.m. Just music, 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 music. You know, it's like pre-internet, pre like
Yeah,
you're not watching Netflix. Like if you're gonna do something fun, it's like you're going out to do
you're
it.
going out.
Yeah, and so back then there were clubs in every city, like every major city in Arkansas and regional like states. So that's what he did. I mean, that was his job for a long time. And then he started a computer business and completely switched gears and owned that growing up. But yeah, that's what he did. So
That's awesome.
That's what we're doing next. We're gonna revive the cover clubs.
yeah, that's the next goal. And then we're gonna own a
It's gonna be
a computer business after
yeah.
that. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
Adam, have
yeah,
we met you before?
I don't think so. I don't think I've
Okay,
had
you seem
either
so
of you on.
familiar. I feel like we just have met before, but
Maybe
like-
I don't think so. I don't think you guys have done my show. Unless you're in the
Yeah.
other band, maybe. But
yeah, it might be
Yeah,
for one of our other secret bands we're in.
who knows? Oh well, Stephen, we'll go to you then. You born and raised in Little Rock as well, or
Yeah, I grew up
around Little Rock?
I grew up in a suburb of Little Rock and had a 3-year stint in Minnesota, in Albert Lee, Minnesota. And then came back and have been in Little Rock since then. And right out of college, moved here and have just been here. And yeah, well,
Creative family?
what'd you say?
creative family.
Yeah, you have a creative family as well.
Musically, no. My parents are they probably get mad at me for saying this all the time, but they are not musically inclined at all. They're very talented in other ways. But music is not one of them. Anyway, we were kind of like forced to do piano lessons pretty early on. And because my mom basically wanted us to be somewhat musically inclined, and me and my brother both hated music lessons, like piano lessons, so much, but through that kind of realized we love guitar, and me through that realized I love playing drums, and so kind of just built our foundation on music, like through being forced to take piano lessons.
Take piano.
And yeah, so it's been a lot of teaching myself how to play and trying to just like figure it out. And yeah, the good thing is my parents, since they don't know much about music, everything seems like an amazing masterpiece to them. So it's great. It's perfect. It's been a whole life of just like, them seeming like it's that I'm amazing at what I do, which is lovely,
That's awesome. When do you both meet each other? Like, did you meet in a band or through music?
Yeah, we were in separate bands. Alan's a little older than I am.
Oh, so much.
And I had a band in college that was me and my brother, and then some other guys that lived on our floor, and we kind of were able to be successful regionally. And so there's not a ton of bands that are playing in Little Rock, or there were at the time. And me and Alan, our bands ended up playing a lot together, and we knew each other through friends, but through that we really started to get to know each other. And when I was graduating college, Alan had been doing music full time for a while, and a lot of what he was doing was film and TV music. And I was interested in that mainly just because I wanted to do whatever I could to make a living doing music, and I didn't exactly know how that would look in Little Rock, and the band I was in was not making, near enough money to do anything like that. So so we got together and just hit it off the first day we got together, and it just I don't know, it felt like it felt like what we were both hoping for in the previous bands we were in, and kind of since that first day, I mean, we started writing for film and TV, but that first session we were like, this is not for film and TV. This is a proper band, and we need to pursue it. So kind of since then we've been going for it. That was like 7 years ago or something.
Mhm.
Wow. So, Alan, you were in a band, but you were also doing film and TV kind of on your own, like a side thing, or was
Yeah,
it more
yeah,
of a
with one of the guys in that band. I was in a band called Canopy Climbers, and it was me and my buddy Corey and Nathan, and it was Corey's kind of pet project when he was in another band. He was touring and stuff, and then he kind of settled down, got a marketing job, really liked that world, and music became kind of a, you know, a serious side thing for him.
Mhm.
And when I graduated, I graduated with my bachelor's in music. It's all I ever did growing up in school. Like I was in orchestra and jazz band, like all the different stuff. And it's what I ate, slept, breathed, you know, and I had no real other option. I didn't want another option. So when um when I graduated and I moved to Nashville for 2-ish years, came back home, got engaged to my wife Lola, and you know, it was like we didn't need a lot of money. It was just us, and we had super cheap rent. And she is an occupational therapist, so she has like it's a great career and makes great money and all this stuff. But I was like, I got to figure out how to like financially do this. Other than you know, I was okay with touring, and I did a little bit of that with other bands, but you know, like the dream was I want my music to be the thing that funds my life, you know, not other people's music.
right,
And I
right?
was
Not
writing a
just being
lot.
in another band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was cool. It was a good experience and I learned a lot, but um I was always in the back of my head on stage with another band going like I want this to be my band that I'm singing or these are my songs or whatever the thing is. So um I did the licensing thing kind of on the side of that, hoping that that band would take the lead. And yeah, we just kept hitting the same wall, which was I was free to do it. That's all I did. And the other guys in the band just had other priorities. Like they had jobs, real jobs, real jobs. And so then we meet and I had pretty decent success with licensing, and that was fun. Like it's fun to do those things because you just kind of have there's like not a lot of parameters other than you're just trying to write songs that will fit well in that world. But that really just means good songs. Like you're just trying to write good songs. Um, and so when we got together to do that, and we write our very first song together, and we're like, oh, this is like a great song. This is not just a side project. We were both kind of the drivers in each of our projects of like we were the ones that were ready to drop everything to do that thing. And so the stars just aligned and very quickly day one we were like, okay, not a licensing thing, we're going to put all of our eggs in this basket. And yeah, we have not looked back since. In fact, the other day I was thinking about it, I was like, it's so funny that day like we just haven't stopped. It's like fun. It's funny to think about like when you think about like we both have kids and there's like this is sad, but there's gonna be like a day that my baby girl like doesn't do something that she does every day and then it just stops. This is the opposite. It's like we were in a totally different life. And then like one day we got together and wrote a song together and then like we've just been together
Yeah.
doing this every day since. It's like I just
Like we
thing.
quit both the bands and we were like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna spend every day together for the next 10 years.
Just wild. Anyway, sorry.
That's amazing. No, for reals though. It's like I've had so many people on the show that have talked about, you know, they're in a band and somebody else in this band that they're, you know, on the show for was another band in the town and they get together because it's hard to get, you know, there's two of you, but if you had 4 or 5, 3
Yeah.
people that all have the same goal and the same drive and that's what they want and there's no,
Yeah.
you know, there's no safety net. There's no backup plan. It's just this is
Totally.
what we want. It's really hard to find somebody else
Yeah.
that has that same mindset that
Totally.
you gel
And
with. Also,
it's extremely powerful when that lines up. It was just like it just felt like, oh, we've been kind of driving the train for both of our things imagine what we can do if we're both if we're both 100% in on this thing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it was just really cool to find that person.
What was did you ever release that first song that you wrote together?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
very first song we actually the first single we released ever in early 2017.
It was called Take Me On.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so you knew it was, you're like, oh wow, this is really good. We're gonna put this out. And not
Yeah.
only that, but like, did it become let's write songs for this band and then also try to pitch them to film and TV, or did that dream kind
Well,
of end when you're like, this is a band, let's like make this happen?
we basically the kind of origin of the releasing part of it was we had another song that we at the time was called With Somebody Else, and we ended up naming it I Loved You First, and that became it's still one of our like top
That's a
stream
massive
songs.
song.
Yeah, thanks, man. That one, so we soft launched it on SoundCloud, if you remember SoundCloud.
Oh, yeah.
And we just started getting these random like emails from people. And it was like managers or labels, and it was like A&R people just going like, "Hey, what is this? Who are you? Do you have anything else to hear? You know, whatever." And we ended up getting a call. Well, we got a message from a guy named Chad Hillard who ran a site called Hilly Dilly, which was like a pretty big A&R like music discovery site, probably in the 2010s on.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Mhm.
I don't think it's around anymore, but
When the blog world was really big.
yeah.
Yeah, like the hype machine and all that stuff.
Exactly that space. And so he was like, "Hey, I love this. I'm gonna feature it on Hilly Dilly, but also I run like this little label called 20XX, and it's essentially like a 50-50 deal. It's a licensing deal. It's nothing like you're not signing your life away. Like, we'll help you distribute it. We can pay for certain things. Like, it's just like a little bit of money in our pockets just to like get the song out properly.
Mhm.
Nothing insane." And we ended up releasing that song and our second that wasn't our first song though. Sorry, we released Take Me On as the first song through him, through that. Took I Loved You First down to like hone it in. That was like it was essentially like an early demo. And we ended up recording more on what now is the version. And our next single was Love Somebody Like You. And yeah, it was just like it was a soft launch that was just made to we just wanted to like put something out there and just to say we did and have like some sort of origin, and it ended up getting us where we are today. Like we found our management that way. They flew in for our very first show. A few months later we were opening for our friends Knox Hamilton for their like was it an album release
Yeah, it was
or
like
something?
some sort of release.
Wow,
Little
that
Rock.
band's big. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
know
Knox. Yeah, they're
Hamilton.
great.
Yeah.
And it was like we had to write, I think, 5 songs or something to fill the 30-minute slot because we only had like 2 or 3 songs, and those songs ended up being on our first EP. And so it was weird. It was like kind of all the stars aligned on a lot of different stuff at that time. So pretty cool.
Jeez, yeah, that first EP has a ton of. I mean, you have so many streams on that release.
Thanks, man.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's
crazy
special.
to be your first thing. You know, like your
Totally.
first go at this.
Yeah.
Especially being in separate bands and then finally finding each other and then doing it, and then it's like working. You're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
okay, this is what we should.
Yeah, it felt like the year after we got together was like just a lot of things that just built on each other in a cool and exciting way that we had been kind of fighting for or like hoping would happen for a long time and kind of just grinding, and then all of a sudden we find each other, we write cool songs, we build a really great team, and I don't know, it just felt like everything was kind of clicking and was like the reassurance we were kind of needing to jump into something new, and was definitely helpful in that way.
Mm-hmm. And from like the success of that first EP and building this team around you, did that open up doors for other opportunities? Were you able to do bigger tours and inside of just opening up for Knox Hamilton in your hometown?
Yeah.
Well, I know you've played with Mr. Wives and stuff like that, but like that was later down the line. But I'm talking like
totally
original first few years.
That first year we the first like 2 or 3 years we only did support tours. We literally said yes to any support tour that made sense to us. Actually, some that didn't even make sense to us. We were just like anything that comes in our door, we'll take it. And if we can be on the road, we'll be there. And so the first 3 years, we probably did, I don't know, a lot, probably 10 or 12 like support tours that were just like, we were always on the road. We literally had several tours where we ended in like San Francisco and the next tour would start in San Francisco. And then we just do 20 more dates all over the US. And we were putting our foot in the door in like in Europe and stuff too. And we started getting over the first few years some love from Asia, so we started like planting our feet there too. And so it was just we wanted to make sure that we built a slow kind of fan base on our own, and with bands around us that we knew had fans kind of that had the same mindset as fans that we wanted to follow us and be part of kind of our world. And so, yeah, that was important to us. We literally just like took any opportunity that came our way. And over the years, it's gotten harder and harder because we have to think a lot more on opportunities now because everything, we have more, like, we're lucky to have a lot of opportunities and have to choose them now. And so because I'm super thankful for the opportunities we had early on, because it feels like we've been able to grow and learn a lot through those. So, but yeah, lots of shows, lots of writing, lots of production and writing chops that we learned in those first 3 years for sure. Just like going all in.
I was gonna say, I think I read that you guys have your own recordings, your own space now, right? Your own studio that
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
in
we're
it.
in it. We're here, baby.
Amazing. And I forgot what I was reading, but you're talking about how in the beginning it was like you guys would produce, 75% or right, and then you always had a producer kind of push you to the goal line in a way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then was that with Superglue that changed, that you guys started just doing everything in-house?
It was before that. So in 2020 we released Cloudy.
Okay.
You remember 2020?
A little bit.
I don't. It's all a blur at this point. But yeah, we had a group of songs. We just got connected with a guy named Andy Seltzer. We knew him because we've got these friends in this band Valley, and he had produced Valley's first, I think most of their first stuff. And they had this EP called the Maybe EP that we were just like, I wore that album, or that it was like a deluxe thing, but I wore that out. And I was like, man, I think Andy's a really good fit for us. He knows how to do like pop, but in an interesting, like, left of center way that kind of presents it new. So anyway, we brought him on board, flew him out to Arkansas, spent 4 days tracking around these. It ended up being 6 songs. And yeah, it's kind of that. It was like we took it 75-80% there. Then he just like, that last 20 was important, and it really polished everything. He did some programming and some tracking stuff back in LA. And then we decided, it's 2020, no one's going anywhere. What are we going to do? And we had some ideas to reimagine the songs and just have like another fan service. Like, here's the songs from Cloudy again in a new way. So we did partly Cloudy, and Andy he really only had the schedule to do 2 of the songs. So we picked the 2 we wanted him on, which I think was Cover Girl and
Want You Back.
Want You Back. Yeah. And then we were like, okay, well, we have 4 more of these to do. We want to do the whole EP. How do we do this? And we just like gained the courage to just do it. We were like, I think we can do it. Like, these are stripped versions. They're not like all big, full, 100 track productions. These may be like 10, 20 tracks. It'll still be mixed by our buddy, Matt Huber, who's like one of our best buds. I think we can do it. And we did. We just like leaned into the learning curve and just put our heads down and freaking made it happen. After that gave us the courage and the confidence to like do everything in house. So then the next EP we did, High and By, those EPs, that was all self-produced. Superglue was totally self-produced. I think 2 songs on Superglue, we had a friend throw some production on 2 songs. And I think maybe High and By, there was a couple songs that we had, which just like ad prod, just like people throwing their taste on it. but like it was all, we were like the producers on it. And I don't know. I think I know for me personally, it's kind of my main role in the music creation side for us is like I'm usually behind the computer, like doing all the stuff, and all the things.
Just behind the computer,
Just doing
just looking
just-
at YouTube.
Steven's actually producing. I'm listening to podcasts. But and I know for me, like we had a lot of internal conversations of him really like pumping me up and going like, you can do this, like we can figure this out. And I was just like, I don't know, man. Like but it really, I think it was that him encouraging me, our manager encouraging me, my wife encouraging me just to like, you've got the skill set. We just got to get some more hours in. And the Malcolm Gladwell, like 10,000 hours thing, I think we've done that. This is a 9 to 5 thing for us in like a really healthy way. And we've just freaking never stopped since 2016 or 2017. So we just, you just after 6-7 years, you learn how to do it. It's a skill set, so.
Does that change like I would imagine with your like at least writing and releasing process there, then you don't have to get the songs to a point and be like, okay, well, we got to hire somebody in now. Like you can just
Right.
get it done. You just know when it's done, and you guys could finish it all yourselves. Is that help? I mean, that's probably quite a big benefit, I would imagine.
It's I would say it's super beneficial, especially in the sense of not having to wait on anybody. That's a big part of it, where it's like at the end of the day, we're only waiting on ourselves, and that's really nice. It also can be maddening because it's like, as much as it is freeing, it's also like completely on our shoulders to feel like the song needs to be done right, and sometimes the end isn't as clear as you necessarily think it is. And so, it can be, you can get in your head a little bit on it too. But I think through those first years, we built a good sense of what it looks like to be done with the song, I think.
Totally. And it's also cheaper, practically speaking. we're not paying producer fees, and we get to pay ourselves instead. And so, I mean, there's so many good things about self-producing. I'd like to think that we know when we need help though. There's definitely times where Steven has to like kind of talk me off a ledge on like, I'll hit a wall and neither of us kind of have the clear vision of how to take the song from that point to the end. We were just working on a song for a K-pop group that we wrote, and like we're doing the production on it. And I just like, we'd send it and they'd come back with some notes, and the notes were like kind of vague. And I felt like we were like doing what they wanted, and then we'd send it back, and then they'd send it back, and it was like kind of better, but and it was just like, okay, do we just need to like send this to a buddy who has fresh ears, who hasn't heard the song, that could just like throw these few things on it, and boom, it's like there. But we fought through it. We like fought through the existential dread of, do we suck at this? And all that stuff. And we got there, and then finally we sent a version, and they're like, perfect, here we go. And so so it is that. I think sometimes it is the maddening part is just knowing not necessarily like how to get to the end and polish it. I think we can figure that. It's like just knowing, is it even at that point? Because you can endlessly tweak. I can adjust the EQ on a snare drum 1,000 times, and it probably sounded just fine the first time. But so we try to not get in our heads too much about that. But it's hard not to. So
I could imagine that being difficult. I've had other people on that have talked about that, especially during COVID, when it's like, I'm just going to open up all the files. I mean, we're not going to release this because there's nothing to tour.
Right.
And then they just tinker and it's like, then you get to a space where it's like, I could just do this forever. Like I could, like you said, with the snare drum, I could keep changing the EQ on the snare drum a bazillion times, and maybe Steven wouldn't notice as much, or you would, but it wouldn't change it all that much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what's the listener actually hearing, and is what's important. What's important is what they're hearing at the end of the day, and
right. Not
you know,
everyone
we
has the
could
trained ear.
exactly, yeah. And so yeah, we have to remind ourselves of that a lot. But also at the end of the day, it's for us. So it's like it's also nice to go through the maddening process. But yeah, we kind of have to be like, all right, no one's gonna care about this part. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I know.
But yeah, but like
Yeah.
you said, it is for you guys, and then it's like you don't want to have to listen. You don't want to keep hearing the song and be like, I wish I would have changed that one little thing.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Bro,
sure
yeah,
that would
there are
drive you
still
nuts.
songs. There are songs from that first era, like the High and By EPs, especially where like I noticed like a bounce glitched on this one little like vocal thing, and no one in the entire world hears it. I hear it every freaking time I listen to the song, and
Yeah.
even that stuff it'll just drive you nuts. But you know what are you gonna do?
Well, let's talk about you have the song coming out on Friday, Magic, and then you've released Heart, Body, Mind, Soul, and Eyes, and that's going to be all part of the same group of songs, or
We think
Yeah.
so.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been kind of working on this next batch of songs just kind of with an open hand and just being like less of like this is going to be an album that looks exactly like this, and kind of letting it show itself to us more. Like we just have a ton of songs that we really like and don't feel like they all work together, and the more we work on songs, the more it seems like it's kind of showing itself to be an album. And literally every day, like we get in and work, and it's like, okay, it's shaping up to be this, but it's like we're kind of in the process right now where we don't really know exactly what it looks like, and that's
Sure.
exciting and cool for us um because with Super Glue we did the album thing where it was like, you know, we started and we knew we were going to like write these songs for an album. We turned it in like 7 months early and like did the whole album cycle thing, and we were just like, we just don't want to do it at this time, and kind of just take it a little more loose in hopes that it turns into a you know, a really like uh I don't know, profound for us album, and like kind of have a concept and a message kind of poke through it and kind of
Yeah.
show itself to us. So it's been fun to kind of take it that way.
Love it. I love the acoustic version you guys released of Heart, Body, Mind, Soul. I think that's so
Thanks,
cool.
man.
Oh,
Me
thanks,
too.
buddy. Yeah,
Yeah,
we love
I
that.
love that. I love how bands do that, or when a band does that, takes a song and then just strips it back acoustic like the way you did. It sounds really
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, man.
That was a funny one to do because it's literally drum and bass, and then we're like, what if we just didn't do that?
Yeah.
yeah, just put a acoustic guitar. The
Uh-huh.
tone on that acoustic guitar sounds awesome too.
Thanks,
I think
dude.
it sounds really good.
Here, I'll show you. Hold on. We got a deal with this company called Eastman, and they like basically make Martin style guitars. But they're like handcrafted, and they do this thing called True Tone, and they somehow age it. I don't know how they do it, but something to the body in the wood, they age it so it sounds less bright and a little more like lived in when you get it, even though it's like a brand new guitar. And that one's modeled after a Martin. Is it the D10?
Yeah.
Wow.
D10, which is like, you know, folk,
Yeah.
big bodied,
It's
full
awesome.
body
Sounds
guitar
so good.
hero. And so, anyway, the day we got it in, I was like, freak, this is the guitar tone I've wanted to record with forever. Because he has a Martin that we love, a 0015 that's really warm and it's mahogany and it's great, but it's a specific sound. We have a smaller bodied one that's very like a vintage Gibson 50s model that's very cool, but it's small. So this is like that acoustic sound that I always want. So thank you for noticing. I love that.
No, I love it. Like when I hear songs acoustic, sometimes like you'll hear this tone. I was like, like it's like it just jumps out, and I was like, wow, like that's a really cool guitar tone.
Thanks,
They were
man.
able to
Thank you,
achieve.
buddy.
Well, I just want to talk to you about the video for Magic real quick, and then
Yeah.
I got one more question for you. But
Cool.
what was it? Did you guys come up with that concept? I love it, like the old black and white, and then like I said in the
Yeah.
beginning, I think Steven, you're like directing it. You're like kind of like, okay, let's figure this out, and then right when you hit the slab, it just or the slate, you hit the slate, and then it already starts in Alan's like
Mhm.
perfect
Yeah.
timing. I think it's rad, and then obviously the
Thanks.
story continues, but
Yeah. Yeah, that one was interesting. The only idea that I had was like, what was the tornado idea? The just like us playing in a field with the tornado behind us, and we were like trying to figure that out, and we had shot that part, and we had a whole complete other idea that maybe would work for the part up to that, but sort of last minute we were like, okay, what if this actually turned into like us creating this video and we're chasing this storm to like make the best video ever kind of thing. And that was kind of our thought. And then and from there we literally, it was just on a wall like outside of our studio, and we had shot like a whole nother thing, but we just canned it kind of last minute, and just like put that together. I literally went to Hobby Lobby and bought like these huge poster boards and like cut out all that stuff, and just was like, it was like very
Cloud and
DIY,
all that
very,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it was very DIY and very like not fleshed out, which is not our normal MO, but it was fun to like kind of just let it happen in real time, and we shot that part, and we were just like, this is it, this is like exactly what it needs to be. And
Yeah.
that whole thing is like one take at the front, and then it goes into the rest, obviously, but we wanted it to have like a nod of like silent film, and kind
Yeah.
of just like show kind of if a silent film was showing how to do a music video kind of thing. And we were just like, um yeah, like real time, just trying to figure it out. So it was fun to do that. And we have a guy here at the studio with us that does all of our video stuff, Edward Crockett, and he's insane, and he was just along for the ride and was just like throwing ideas out too. And so it was a fun collaboration to make it happen. So
Yeah, that shot with you guys playing in the tornado is insane. Like it just
yeah,
where it
dude.
comes around. Then
Isn't
you
it
just at
crazy
one
that we
point you
found
just
a real tornado? We hired that tornado. We had to do a casting call
Yeah.
for
for
tornadoes,
the tornado.
and that one was available. So,
But it was one of those things, like we wanted it to be like some sort of like contrast of like us almost playing without knowing something's behind us, like whether it
Yeah.
was like a, I don't know, fire or some sort of like disaster kind of thing. And we were like, we get tornadoes in Arkansas all the time, and so it
Oh,
just
yeah.
felt natural for that to be the thing that is kind of creeping up on us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was cool to kind of have a nod to home too in it.
Yeah, super. I moved to You said you were in Nashville for a couple of years, Alan. I moved
Yeah.
to Nashville like 4 years ago. We get them here, and it's wild. Like I'm from San
Dude.
Diego, and earthquakes were
really?
the
That's
thing. But
awesome.
like in
Oh,
that,
yeah.
the first time they're like, "There's a tornado," I didn't know. I was freaking
Bro,
out, and
they're
all the
terrifying.
time.
We
Yeah.
grew up in it, and I'm still, every time the freaking siren goes off, I'm petrified. Like,
Yeah, dude,
I
it's
hate them,
crazy.
man. I hate them.
Yeah,
But
and just you
anyway.
guys doing that scene where you're playing, and then it's almost like you get to a point where you're like, okay, it's getting a little too close, and then you all start running away from it. Like it's such a great video.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
buddy.
Well, I appreciate you both doing this today. Thank you so much. I have one more question. I want to see if I can get an answer from each of you. If you have any advice for aspiring artists,
Yep. Oh, we got nothing but advice, dude.
Hear it.
Is it good advice? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Don't do this. No, I've probably said it in other ways before, but I just think if you want to do music and it be your thing, your career, you almost have to, even if you do have an actual option B or plan, like a different plan in mind, if it doesn't work out, you have to like eliminate that. It can't exist in your mind. Like this has to be the thing you're doing. And we live in such a unique time in history where essentially anyone can make money off of their art. Now how much they make and all that's, the big question, but it can be done. You can healthily monetize your art if you want to do that, and you can make this a career, but you have to like treat it like there is no other plan, in my opinion. And for some people that's a super healthy, normal thing to do. For some people it needs to stay. That would probably reveal to some people that this is just my hobby. I need this to be like the side hustle that I just do for fun. we're not like that. We're built differently. And so
I'm built different.
I'm
baby.
built different. But yeah, for us, that's been like, I think the number one thing is neither of us have like another thing. This will be what we do. And I think when you have that mentality, it just promotes like the work ethic necessary to make it happen. And we both have families. We're both married with children. Like we both have 2 kids, and that brings challenges to the balance the work home life like everyone has. But even with that, like we have support systems at home that like love us and love what we do and believe in it too, and know that this is the thing. I think it's just a healthy way to approach it. If that's a healthy thing for that person, it is for us. So
yeah. And to piggyback on that, I think mine would be like treat it like you're clocking in to a job, and like don't wait for inspiration to just hit you and that's the only time you work. Like if we don't show up every day and kind of work to find the inspiration, the inspiration never could never come, and so for us, we make it a point to show up every day and make music, even if it's not the best music we've made. We're still learning every day, and we're still putting in the time and in the investment, and that's a really important part of this whole thing for us, is just showing up. And so I don't know, that's what I would say. Even when we weren't doing it as like even when we weren't making any money at all, like showing up and working hard at it is extremely important. Because at the end of the day, if you want to make money, don't do music. So, you truly have to love it and like show up and work for it. So.
Bringing it back.